Hey guys, it's the Metal Blade 5. Welcome back to more Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Last time, we took care of the alternate levels and the Kong level of Donkey Kong Island. And now that there's nothing else left to do with taking care of the Snowmad troops, we take the fight straight to their leader in Volcano Dome. Ending off this game in the exact same location that we ended off Returns. Of course, in the Returns throwback world. Now, for who I choose to use for this fight. With this being the Returns throwback world, and for good old time's sakes, and also so that each partner gets an equal number of boss fights, I'm going with Diddy. And it just so happens that I find Diddy to be the best character for this fight, so time to end this. Getting quite undramatically revealed compared to how he was in shadows in the opening cutscene, we have the final boss of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Lord Frederick, the Snowmad King. He's going to create those ice balls from his horn, and some of them have enemies in, and then he's going to do a little shuffle around the background. He's going to stop briefly, and with that, you can throw the enemies at him in the background. There's no special input, it's just automatic. Then he's going to jump to the foreground, all enemies will disappear, and he's going to charge at you. This is how you actually have to do damage to him in terms of his health. Hitting him with enemies in the background, does nothing. After free charges, he's now going to switch to that and jump around the place where the platforms he lands on, the platforms he jumps off of, will temporarily sink into the lava. And rinse and repeat until we head to the next phase. Now, very interesting thing about Frederick is that his fight pays homage to the fights against King K. Rool in the original Donkey Kong Country games. The ice ball attack is a reference to the cannonballs that would drop down during the fight against King K. Rool in the first Donkey Kong Country. The fact that you're having to throw objects at him while he's in the background is a reference to the fight against K. Roolenstein in Donkey Kong Country 3. And I almost thought I messed that up there. And there is one other reference to King K. Rool that we shall see later on. They actually even go even further with this, as in Smash Bros. Ultimate, Frederick appears as a spirit. And in this spirit battle, King K. Rool is the character that represents him. So it goes full circle. Now, he obviously shoots the ice dragons at you, and they're going to make the platform slippery. And now we go for the same process, except this time, there's also going to be tough fluffs in there. I recommend taking care of them first, because they're harder to avoid compared to the tough tucks. And then just wait for him to get stunned. He can sort of just slightly dodge out of the way at times if you're not dead center with it. Now he kind of gets a bit faster here. But I find Diddy sort of best with actually timing your jumps when landing on him, though it's not the easiest thing in the world. Even though he has a horned helmet, you cannot hit him with Cranky. It's sort of electrified in a way, so it doesn't exactly work. Then the platforms that sink beneath the lava become no longer icy, but he's going to summon the ice dragons again anyway. What I recommend for this attack is just sort of stand in one spot and just watch out for when the ice shards drop from the ceiling above you, and then obviously just move out of the way. And of course, I had to do it 2 in a row right to the one I moved to, but it's alright. I do also need to note that the ice ball pattern is slightly bit different. The tough fluff is always in the center, though. And just keep following up with him. Sometimes he laughs, and there's the little dodge thing. It didn't work, though, that time for him. He sort of laughs, and kind of like Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat, but just like Shao Kahn, that's when your opportunity arises to attack him, because he's very cocky like that. Shit! I thought he was going to go to the next phase already, so I messed that up. The only worry with this fight is that it is very time consuming, because it does take quite a long time for you to even get to the point where you can actually hurt him. Okay, going back to this, using the same strategy as before. Let's see. Yep, move. Move back. Move back again. Okay, whew. Now goes once again, just avoid the middle. Take care of you, and then just do his little dance. He's probably gonna dodge. No, he didn't! He was being very stupid there for some reason. Some time to actually dodge the charge. Yes! I wish I had a heart though there. Okay. Final phase. Now he is going to do this, where all the platforms launch up in the air. They're going to drop down eventually, and then you want to roll off that before the last one is, so that you can avoid it and then dropping right in the lava to the platforms that started off first. And then we go back to the typical strategy before. He does bring back the ice dragons as well. He does have one other attack, and that attack is the last reference to King K. Rool. Now, I believe when he does the Ice Ball attack, there are more Tough Fluffs inside of them. Well, just more Ice Balls in general. Yeah, there's 2, and there's 1 Tough Tux, and I think it's also a Speedy Tux under there, but... Ah, damn it. I don't want to lose Diddy to one of the regular fricking enemies. Why did he just stand there? I for sure thought I messed that up, but okay. Here we go, this is the fastest he's gonna be now. There, heart. He also likes to charge twice in a row, like after that, sort of mess with you a bit. These platforms not always fall down the same pattern as well, but I think for the first 2 times they do. And I think Diddy's jetpack also really helps with avoiding this attack as well. So when is he gonna... There we go. This attack shoots the ice dragons out from his horn. This is a reference to Captain K. Rool's blunderbuss in Donkey Kong Country 2. It even has the exact same attack pattern. Oh, God. This part I find really hard to actually hit him just because of how fast he moves. Okay, just hopefully I don't lose Diddy, because Diddy is amazing for trying to hit him. Is them both standing around the side parts? Yes! Okay. Just avoid them as he's coming back down. Oh, that was so close! There, it seems you gotta kind of almost predict his movements. There.
Go beyond! Plus Ultra!
So they blew the horn, and they wrote down a slide of flowers, and that melted all the ice. You sure they didn't just take a bunch of drugs there? In fact, maybe this entire game was just one big acid trip. And yes, I totally meant to beat Frederick with just one punch. I wasn't trying to beat him a ton of times. That was all my plan from the very beginning. I didn't mess it up. So, that was Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Well, at least the main portion of the game. Because, of course, like I did with Returns, there are going to be bonus episodes. But we'll see that more next time. So, this game was another game that I had plans to do for quite some time, and it just, I kept forgetting about it. Of course, I wanted to have some, like, decent time between it and Returns to do it. I didn't want to do it immediately, because I think that would be kind of weird to sort of jump between it. But yeah. Anyway, I guess this might be something that a lot of people will disagree with me on, but I feel like in terms of difficulty, this game isn't as hard as Returns overall. That might just be because, obviously, by the time I first played this game, I was much more skilled compared to when I replayed Returns, so that could play a part, but there are definitely portions where the difficulty does feel like it's harder than Returns. Slippy Spikes can burn in fire, for all I care, to melt all that ice in it. But, overall, this is still a very, very fun game that I very much enjoy playing. Of course, I already loved Returns when I played that, and I felt this just kind of took everything that was great about Returns and just amped it up to 11. Just surpassing everything, as you kind of should do in a sequel. It had like a lot more sort of variety in the mechanics and the levels, especially with the design of the levels and, you know, all the different gimmicks that they had in them that very rarely ever showed up in other levels to kind of make it more unique. And it's just like the aesthetics. I mean, of course I went about this with Juicy Jungle, but I just like kind of love how more varied sort of the environments were. Like each world being its own sort of different island. And of course you had the whole icy Donkey Kong Island at the end. And well, of course, as we went past the credit for David Wise there, the music is amazing! Of course, there were plenty of times where I stopped talking for the music, but of course, there were still some cases where I kind of needed to talk anyway. I mean, that final boss track is very, very cool, and I just didn't really have much of an opportunity to actually be quiet and bring it up, because I just wanted to talk about how you're actually supposed to fight Frederick and the King K. Rool references behind him. And, this happens like every LP, but I just kind of underestimate how long the credits are going to be, so I either end up talking for too long or for too little. So, where do I go from here? Well, at the time of recording this at least, there is not any other Donkey Kong Country games by Retro Studios. They're currently obviously working on Metroid Prime 4, now they've restarted development and everything. So, I'm not really sure when or if we're ever gonna really go back to the Donkey Kong world ever again, because, again, like I said before, I've never actually played the original Donkey Kong Country games. I just know about them, nor have I played Donkey Kong 64, and I don't think I would want to play Donkey Kong 64, at least in an LP format, just because of how very collectible focused it is, and I'm not really a big fan of those, like, super collectible heavy games, but that's just me. But, you know, I would be very much excited to see if maybe at some points in the future Retro Studios end up going back to handling the Donkey Kong games. At some point, because it just seems that Nintendo really loved to like have the American or British side or whatever work on Donkey Kong instead. But they do have their own little bit of charm with all the funkiness, and I did not intend for that to be a pun. I let you just realize it just beforehand. And thank God the credits are over, I can stop rambling on. You found a mysterious relic. All 7 mysterious relics found. This takes us to the reward that you get for beating all of the Kong levels and thus getting all the mysterious relics. But we shall do that next time. And then after that, I shall take you to, once again, another continuation that I kind of wanted to do. Although this one's a bit more recent. We get a bit more of a... Fuck, I can't even think of a hint. We get a bit more of a party going on, but it's not an RPG.